As we delve into the annals of history, we find ourselves in the early 20th century, a time fraught with tension and turmoil. This was an era where the old world was clashing with the new, where empires were teetering on the brink, and where alliances were being forged in the fires of mutual fear and ambition. Europe, the beating heart of the world in those days, was a jigsaw puzzle of nations, each with its own hopes, dreams, and anxieties. The continent was divided into two major power blocks. On one side, we had the Triple Entente, a powerful alliance consisting of France, Russia, and the United Kingdom. On the other side stood the Central Powers, featuring the might of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. The early years of the century were marked by a series of crises that gradually escalated the tension between these two blocs. There was the Moroccan crisis, where Germany attempted to challenge French influence in Morocco. There was the Balkan Wars, where the destabilization of the Ottoman Empire led to a power vacuum that the European powers were all too eager to fill. These crises were like sparks flying too close to a powder keg, and it was only a matter of time before the inevitable happened. Then, in the summer of 1914, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary set off a chain reaction that led to the outbreak of the First World War. The alliances that had been formed in the previous years now came into play, drawing nation after nation into the conflict. The world had never seen anything like it. It was a war of unprecedented scale and devastation, a war that would change the face of the globe forever. In this powder keg of a situation, Verdun, a small city in the northeastern part of France, was destined to become the stage for one of the most significant battles in human history. As the winds of war swept across Europe, Verdun, with its strategic importance and fortified location, was in the crosshairs. Situated on the eastern front of France, Verdun was more than just a city. It was a symbol of French resistance, strength, and national pride, fortified by a ring of robust fortifications. Verdun was chosen as a target for a multitude of reasons. For the German High Command, it was a strategic move to break the deadlock on the Western Front. They believed that the French would do anything to defend Verdun, causing them to divert troops and resources from other areas. This in turn would expose weaknesses in the French lines that the German forces could exploit. The fortifications around Verdun were a formidable defensive system. They were designed to withstand heavy artillery fire and had intricate networks of trenches, underground tunnels, and fortified artillery positions. These fortifications were a testament to the French military's architectural prowess and were seen as practically impregnable. On the other side, the French military strategists also recognized Verdun's importance. They knew its loss would be a major blow to national morale. Thus, they planned to defend Verdun at all costs. The French generals from the outset planned a defense-in-depth strategy, which involved a series of defensive lines to wear down the attacking German forces. They also mobilized their artillery, knowing that their big guns would play a crucial role in the battle to come. In the lead-up to the battle, both sides were busy. The Germans were amassing their forces and artillery, while the French were strengthening their defenses and preparing their men for the fight. The atmosphere was tense, filled with anticipation and apprehension. With strategies laid out and troops in position, the stage was set for what would become one of the longest and most brutal battles of World War I. On February 21, 1916, the stillness of the morning was shattered as the first German shells rained down on Verdun. The Battle of Verdun had begun, marking one of the longest and most brutal battles in human history. The German High Command, under the direction of General Erich von Falkenhayn, had devised a strategy not necessarily to capture Verdun, but to bleed the French army white, forcing them to commit an increasing number of troops to its defense. The German forces opened up with a massive artillery bombardment, using over 1,400 guns that pounded French positions with over 1 million shells in just the first day. Verdun's defenders were initially caught off guard. However, they responded with a fierce determination that would characterize the battle. The French forces, under the command of General Philippe Pétain, soon adopted the mantra, "They shall not pass," reflecting their relentless resolve to hold Verdun at any cost. Throughout the year, the battle lines shifted back and forth as each side gained and lost ground. The battle was characterized by its intense artillery fire, the use of poison gas, and the grim reality of trench warfare. The fighting was so intense that at times the land itself seemed to shake. One of the most poignant moments of the battle was the struggle for Fort Douaumont, a formidable stronghold in the Verdun defenses. Captured by the Germans in the early stages of the battle, the fort was later retaken by the French in a bloody counteroffensive. As the battle wore on, the human cost began to mount. Both sides suffered heavy casualties, with estimates ranging from hundreds of thousands to over 1 million combined. The soldiers who fought at Verdun faced not only the enemy's bullets and shells, but also the harsh conditions of the trenches, including mud, disease, and the ever-present threat of death. Yet despite the immense cost, the French resolve remained unbroken. Pétain, who had been promoted to commander-in-chief of the French forces, orchestrated a system of rotating units in and out of Verdun, ensuring that the defense of the city never wavered. His strategy, coupled with the increasing strain on German resources, eventually turned the tide of the battle in favor of the French. By December, the German forces were exhausted and their offensive had ground to a halt. The French, seizing the opportunity, launched a series of counteroffensives that slowly pushed the Germans back. The Battle of Verdun, which had raged for almost a year, was finally drawing to a close. After 303 days of relentless fighting on December 18, 1916, the Battle of Verdun finally came to an end. It was a battle that had tested the resolve of nations, the courage of soldiers, and the very limits of human endurance. The Battle of Verdun remains a stark reminder of the brutal reality of war and the immense sacrifices made by those who fight in them. In the quiet that followed the cessation of battle, Verdun was a testament to the horrors of war. Verdun, once a vibrant city, was left scarred and desolate, a chilling reminder of the ferocity of the conflict that had raged here. The aftermath was grim. Both the French and German forces suffered heavily. The French army, although victorious, was left decimated. Losses were staggering, with estimates of up to 400,000 casualties. On the German side, the toll was equally severe, with approximately 336,000 reported casualties. These numbers are a stark reminder of the brutal cost of war. The Battle of Verdun was not just a military conflict, it was a battle of attrition, a war of endurance. The French, under the leadership of Philippe Pétain, adopted a strategy of bleeding the Germans white, a tactic that aimed to exhaust the enemy by prolonging the battle and inflicting maximum casualties. This approach was not without its critics, but it exemplified the harsh reality of trench warfare on the Western Front. The German forces, for their part, had initially hoped to bleed France to death, believing that a decisive victory at Verdun would demoralize the French and tip the balance of the war in their favor. However, the stubborn resistance put up by the French forces frustrated these plans. In the broader context of World War I, the Battle of Verdun was a turning point. It marked a shift in momentum, slowing the German advance and bolstering the morale of the Allied forces. The battle also had far-reaching implications for future military strategies and tactics. The lessons learned at Verdun, particularly the importance of artillery and the devastating impact of prolonged warfare, would go on to shape many aspects of 20th century warfare. Moreover, the battle had a profound effect on the collective psyche of the French and German nations. For the French, Verdun became a symbol of national resilience and determination. The phrase, "They shall not pass," famously uttered by General Pétain, resonated deeply with the French public and became a rallying cry for the war effort. On the German side, the high cost of the battle, both in terms of casualties and resources, led to a sense of disillusionment and a questioning of the war's objectives. The battle also exposed the limitations of German military strategy, which relied heavily on offensive tactics and underestimated the defensive capabilities of the enemy. The Battle of Verdun, a symbol of human resilience and the devastating cost of war, forever etched its mark on the pages of history. Even today, over a century later, the echoes of Verdun reverberate, serving as a poignant reminder of the human capacity for both extraordinary courage and unimaginable destruction.